So we're back, episode 3, and as we promised, we're going to give you this, the steps to creating healthy credit, establishing healthy credit, or correcting your credit from good to bad. So we'll give you the 6 steps that we utilized that work for us.
Actually did.
Yeah.
We're not just saying, "Oh, do this," and the ish don't work.
Right. So these are going to be the 6 steps that 6 or 6.5, 6.5 steps that we have utilized that work for us, that got us, our credit score from, for me, from the 500s to the 700s, and that assisted me in getting, the type of credit I needed to do what I needed to do. And this is what A taught me. This is the information A gave me, and so we're gonna give that to you. And we're not gonna wait till episode 20 or 100, or we're gonna do it on episode 3. So these are the steps, and then A is gonna get into detail about these steps and how to go and utilize them, and exactly what to do. So the first step recommended is going and get a free credit report. And so how do you do that, A?
You pretty much want to go on freecreditreport.com. You go there. I think they'll give you like a trial run, but after that they'll bill you. But it's totally worth it, because if you don't know what's on your credit report, then I know we hear this saying a lot, but it's true. It's almost like you're throwing darts. I mean, if you're going to throw darts, at least throw it at the board where you have that little circle in the middle, or the circle around it, or the circle around that. Aiming for the middle is knowing exactly what's on your credit report, so you could attack it with confidence.
So do you kind of have a guesstimation about the cost after the free trial?
It's been a while since I've looked at it. But honestly, whatever the cost is, it's going to be worth it if you're in a place where you need to fix your credit. But if I have to be specific, I can look it up now, because I know some people are like, "Well, you got to understand, I'm in a bind where I need to know," which that part I definitely understand.
Right.
Looking it up right now.
And it's a little jingle, if I remember correctly. freecreditreport.com. So that I distinctly remember that jingle in my head as soon as we revisited this. Like freecreditreport.com. Yeah. And then I think they had one like that too. freecreditreport.com. A little bit more serious. So 1995. Not too bad. Right? Mm-hmm. My recommendation, if you really trying to save money, do the free trial, and right before the free trial is up, set an alarm on your phone for like the day before and cancel it. You know what I mean? So you get what you need, record what's on your credit report, and then go ahead and cancel that subscription before it starts to bill you automatically. That's my little tip, that in order to avoid that $20 a month fee. So once they do creditreport.com, what's the 1B that they would do next? Because it goes in line with the free credit, getting your credit report. What will be the next thing?
Right. So the free credit report is linked to Experian. I would say 1B is sign up for Experian. You want to see like that score number. And the beautiful thing with Experian is, I think once a month, they notify you per se, especially if you're playing with the website, where you can see all 3 scores.
Mm-hmm.
So you ideally would want to have Experian, because there's power in seeing the number. I know for me personally, with particular numbers in the past when, things would be bad, whether it's board or a bank account. It's like, I don't want to look there. I get it.
Right.
But you do need to look there, because when you do, it does something for you. Like, it gives you confidence. For example, and this is all relevant. Like, when I first moved in my house, I was like, this is such a cool feeling. But in my head, I was like, what's next? Like, there's something next. And I was like, okay, make your credit score even higher. So I personally looked at all of my numbers for Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, and I saw where I stood. And it obviously wasn't that bad because it got me into a house, but it wasn't great. It was far from where I wanted to be. But me seeing those numbers, it gave me confidence to know, okay, my score is here. This is where I anticipate to be, similar to when I was 158 pounds soaking wet and 6 foot. I mean, you think I wanted to go to the gym prime hours where everyone knew how to work out? And absolutely up in bed stuff. They wouldn't let me use those weights, but I would get to the gym 6 a.m. when no one's there. And the more weight I gained, it went from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 11. And I'm in there doing pull-ups between 2, 3 p.m. when it's crowded. So, having that goal weight and number where I wanted to be gave me extra confidence to go at my goal harder, for lack of a better word. So you want to open up an Experian to at least know where your scores are, because you need to know, like, how you're going to get that inspiration to get to a particular number if you don't know where that current number is. And Experian is perfect because Experian will show you exactly where you stand in real time.
Right. And if we had a 1C, I would say I would add Credit Karma. That's free for the other two, right? Equifax and TransUnion. I'm gonna say this though: sometimes Credit Karma is not completely accurate. So I suggest once a year you pay to see your true credit score from each bureau. That's my personal opinion. Because I knew my credit score. I was paying for the Experian every month. I think it was like $23 a month for my Experian. And then I was getting the free Credit Karma reports. And then right before I bought my house, my broker went ahead and ran my credit and showed me my credit from the credit bureaus, like the printout from the credit bureau. And my credit was higher than what was on Credit Karma. So I was like, okay, this is a good thing, because Credit Karma, I think, was reflecting at that time. My credit was like 620, around there. And then when I got the printout, it was like 660 something. And I was like, oh, my doing 40 points higher. Okay, I'm doing good. So it did definitely reinforce and motivate me to keep doing what I was doing. So A is correct when he says, that gives you a bit of confidence to go harder and further, and then, not be discouraged. It encourages you. So I would say get the Credit Karma, because you kind of get to see, but once a year, you might want to just pay for that actual, from the actual bureaus, the 3 bureaus themselves. But the reason why I recommend Credit Karma also is because they give you little tips. So for instance, if you're stuck, they motivate you like, hey, you're doing good. You may qualify for these 3 credit cards, which will help you establish more credit. And so you go ahead and, of course, it's not guaranteed, but it's a suggestion. And so they know your credit, and they know if you're going to most likely qualify. So so it gives you recommendations and stuff like that. So I like that. I like that about Credit Karma very much. I think Experian also give recommendations too, but Credit Karma pushes a lot of like building your credit and making it healthy and robust. So if I was a 1C, if we was to add a 1C, 1A would be freecreditreport.com, 1B would be getting Experian, and 1C would be adding Credit Karma, and then 1D would be once a year get that printout from the bureaus. And so, what's that?
And to add more to that, as far as the Credit Karma aspect, day 3 of being in my house, I woke up early to get ready for work. And because I'm maniacal when it comes to credit, I logged into Credit Karma because, similar to what you said, I had Credit Karma because it does give you that confidence. The points may be off, but boy, oh boy, they're on to something when it comes to recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember it vividly, day 3 of being in my house. I logged on to Credit Karma, getting ready for work. Oh, it looks like you have good chance of getting Amex card. I was just like, I've never seen that in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So what did I do? I proceeded to apply for the Amex card directly through the
Right.
Credit Karma.
Right.
It was spinning and spinning, and it literally said, "Hi, ABAC, could you give us a call so we can verify some more information?" Call the representative, and before that call ended with the, "Oh, congratulations, sir, you are approved for X card." And that was all through Credit Karma. So Lewis is absolutely right. Have Credit Karma as a baseline per se, and use it as a roadmap to get to where you want to get to, and don't ever delete it. Just keep it to have that roadmap, if that makes sense.
Yep, I agree. And not that Credit Karma is always inaccurate. They can't, they more often than not, they're accurate, but there is occasions where they're inaccurate. So I wouldn't count on them the make all end all, but definitely utilize them because it's very, very useful in the credit building and credit sustaining process. I guess the second step that we implemented, we plan an attack to dispute incorrect accounts. So, you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. Nowadays people like to go the other route where they'll hire someone to do credit repair. That's literally for another video, but you definitely want to see exactly what negative items are on your report, so you can try to plan an attack where either you're going to dispute them yourself, which is another video, or maybe one desires to pay for someone to do it. That's up to the individual. One key gem and nugget, I don't know if you wanted to mention it first or me just go into it and then I'll elaborate from there, but there's always some nuggets as far as stuff you can do on your own.
Right. Well, I know I paid somebody to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I paid somebody to go ahead and help remove, not somebody, an organization, a specialty company, to remove the negative remarks from my credit. I think, you did both, right? I think you did both, right? You did it yourself and you got someone, an organization to do it. We used 2 different organizations. He used one and I used a different one. And honestly, that joint worked. It worked. They sent me everything that I wanted to dispute. So it's like, hey, what about this? You want to dispute this? And I was like, yes. And they was like, okay. And I justified why. And they went ahead and sent that justification out to the particular organization that I owed, or they said that I owed. And that joint got removed from my credit, and my credit score jumped 10 points. And then they did it again with someone else who jumped another 10 points. So my credit score was jumping and they do this I think the company I use, they did it on a bi-weekly basis. On a bi-weekly basis, they pretty much did a sweep of my credit to see what was probably inaccurate. And every 2 weeks they did that. Now, the thing about that, it's a good thing. But if you want to buy a property, personal property, and not not a business property, do not do that. Don't do it. Wait till after you buy the property to do it, because banks don't like to see that. Banks giving you a large loan do not want to see you going ahead and removing things off your credit, whether you're doing it yourself or you hired a company to do it for you. They don't want to see that because they're going to look at it how can I say? They look at it suspiciously. So they will frown on it. So before you represent yourself to the banks, because they're gonna pull your credit. That's the one thing too. When you're buying a property, your credit gets pulled a bunch of times. So when the banks pull your credit and they see you got stuff removed, they're gonna be like, huh? And a lot of times they're not gonna want to give you a loan because of that. They think you're a risky borrower, so they don't want to do that. So even if it's a negative remark, leave it on there. They rather see that than see you remove it. So leave that on there, and then after. So let's say you got the 580 credit score. Let's say you got the 600. Now you qualify for the FHA. Get the loan, buy the house, and then when you're done, remove the stuff off your credit. And then that 600 is going to go to 640, 650 relatively quickly. So that's my personal advice based on my experience, because what I ended up doing, I ended up having to now call each bureau that things got erased and tell them put it back on there. So I saw my credit score jump 40, 50 points. Then I seen it drop 40, 50 points. And I was like, it looks so beautiful. And then it just didn't look as beautiful, but that all returns, you know what I mean? And what happened was I kind of wasted money because they did their job, but I reversed it so I could buy the house. So that was my experience. But I know A had a similar experience because he used both avenues. But I went the quick route. He did both. So A, you could expound on that.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis is correct. Like before I started my home buying process, I did some things on my own. Fortunately, the timing was impeccable, meaning the person who helped me get into a house, which I guess call him like a mortgage advisor or something of that nature. He looked at my credit report, and I had already initiated steps. One of those steps I'm going to get into shortly. And that helped me clear up my credit before I even thought about getting into the house, like Lewis said. And then after I got into the house, like Lewis said, that's when I was like, let me work on my credit again. But I definitely didn't do it throughout the process of getting a house, because if you do that, just consider yourself probably not getting the home, period.
Right.
But to add something else, now if you're in a position where, or if you're in a place where at the moment you don't have the money to pay for credit repair, just one nugget. Now you're still going to have to do your due diligence to look for other avenues to do it the freeway. Something else that you could use is called cfpb.gov. I don't want to get into the specifics of how they do what they do, but just know if you have certain things on your credit report that you want to dispute, you can dispute them through cfpb.gov. You have to go through some layered steps in order to do it, but I actually was able to get an account rectified through cfpb.gov, and I did that all on my own. But you have to be meticulous. You can't just make the dispute and just add anything. You want to be as meticulous as possible, because they themselves will call that creditor and act upon your behalf. And that alone pushed my points maybe an additional, not only did it push my points an additional 40 points and took something off my credit report, but once Lewis gets into the other number, it put me in a position to get another credit card just from disputing that item alone through cfpb.gov, which is cfpb.gov. So.
Right. And yeah, that's exactly. Now I did go on cfpb.com, right? .com?
Gov.
Gov.
Yeah.
.gov. I did, but I didn't really do much with it. So that's why I'm not too like familiar. I went on there, I saw a bunch of stuff, and I was like, deuces. And I went and I paid, somebody to help me do all of the footwork and stuff for me. But of course, it's always a good thing too to do it yourself, because you get more firsthand knowledge. But once I saw all this stuff, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pay somebody to do it, and
I wanted to mention, because we're both on the same page. Like, we don't want to just give you the information and then you're still kind of lost. Like, we both that you watch something and it's just like, once it's over, but you didn't give me, like, I want to take action, but in that video you made me watch 6-7 minutes and you gave me no action steps. So that's why I wanted to put.
Right. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a number at the bottom, right? Somewhere in the bottom, you look, and that number, you can reach one of us if you want like more specific details to walk you through the process, because sometimes we need that. Sometimes we might take notes and stuff, but we still need more, like, oh shoot, I'm stuck at a step, how do I get past this step? So we'll leave a number at the bottom that you can contact us to get more assistance if it's needed. So let's just push us into the third step, which is getting a secured credit card. So do you want to explain? We kind of mentioned that in the last episode, but you want to break down exactly what is a secured credit card?
Yeah, of course. So secure card, in my opinion, is a gold star, a gem. And Lewis would attest to this. A secure card can put premium gas into your credit score. So,
yes.
So a secure card is basically a credit card that you set up and establish by adding your money onto it. But what makes it, in my opinion, actually, this might be something extra to say, but I feel like people should hear it. A secure card is what helped me get into my current home now, just for adding a secured card alone. Now, I'm not being absolute saying, oh, if you don't have a secure card, you can't get a house. No, what I'm saying is that's how pivotal a secure card was to pushing my score to the next level to get a house. So with the secure card, it's pretty simple. You can go to either Wells Fargo, Capital One, Discover has one, but and I'm sure Lewis would love to get into a secure card that we both use, but I would recommend a secure card primarily because it gives you the opportunity to have an actual credit card on your profile. Because one of the beauties of it is on your credit profile, it doesn't say secured card. It literally is like a credit card.
Yeah, there's no distinguishing on your credit report between a secured card and a credit card. So you get a Discover secured card and you use it, it reflects as utilized credit, and then it reflects on your credit score on your credit report if you are utilizing it appropriately and intelligently. And then once that happens, your credit score will start to increase. So, like for myself, I had got a was like, hey, first thing you do is go get a secure credit card. Go to Capital One. And so I went on Capital One's website. I Googled secure Capital One credit card. Took me to a link. Of course, it runs your credit, right? So it ran my credit and it said, okay, I qualify for, I think it was, what was it, $250? I think it was at that time, $250 credit limit, and I had to put I think it was like 150 down, something like that. So I put up 150 and they put up 100. And I had to use that wisely. So I had to keep it at like 30% or lower utilization, which means, let's make the numbers easier. So let's say it was $100. I could only use $30 max on that credit card. And if I use more, then I'm considered a risky borrower, and then my credit score gets dinged. But if you keep it at 30, they say, well, you're responsible. Boom. So keep it at 30, pay it on time. But what I did was I didn't pay it at 30. I didn't keep it at 30. I kept it like at 20.
There you go.
And I kept it consistently at 20, then 18 and 12. I kept it low. And I'm like, I just used it for little stuff. Right. So I use it for little things that were, yeah. So I'm like, oh, I need a pair of socks or something. Go get some socks, and I'll charge it on the thing. And then as soon as the next payment was due, I paid off the whole thing. And so at every month, I had a zero balance, right? And so I kept getting really good. My credit kept increasing. My credit was increasing, and so like A said, get that secure credit card. If your credit is not well, or you're starting off new credit, like you haven't ever had a credit card and never took a loan, go ahead and inquire with Capital One, Wells Fargo. I have my own feelings about Wells Fargo. Discover, right? Go ahead and get one of those and start utilizing it wisely. Keep it at 30% or lower, and don't go above the previous utilization that you used the previous month. So if you're at 30, stay at 30. If you go down to 25, stay at 25. Don't go above 25. Unless you have a high credit score that you wouldn't mind getting a couple points shaved off because you want to use a little bit more. But if you want to keep it raising, do not use any more credit utilized than you have the previous month. But it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Secure card, no-brainer. And I guess that moves us into the next step. But we initially had a different step, but I want to flip it because we're talking about credit cards. And so the fourth step, if possible, become an authorized user on someone's credit card. And so explain that, because sometimes people think authorized user, oh, should I get to use somebody else's credit card? Oh, explain that to everyone.
Right. No, you're right. So, and I know authorized user is getting a lot of flack right now, but anyone who really, really knows credit will say it still can push your credit score up. So authorized user is as simple as, let's say, my mom has a $10,000 credit card, but she's had that card for like 5 or 6 years or more. Then you would want to become an authorized user, because now it looks like you have that $10,000 credit card. But the key is, if you're going to be an authorized user, make sure it's at that 5-6+ year mark. If not, if it's at the 2 or someone just obtained their credit card, it's different if you have no credit, so you're starting from nowhere. Then okay, no problem if they're 1-2 years and just having the card. But if you do have credit and you're trying to repair it, at this point you need history, because that helps your score. And then it always helps to have capacity, which is the limit. So if my mom has a $10,000 credit card, her utilization is 2%. That's a card that you want to be an authorized user from. And if the other person is kind of leery about you doing it, you can just literally say, I don't want a physical card, just add me on so I can get my credit to a certain point. So you don't even have a physical card. In fact, you don't want a physical card, because that's not your anyway, because we want to focus on helping people be responsible and giving you empowerment to bring your score up. So if you have to pay it forward, one day you can. But with the authorized user, just make sure that they have a decent limit. If you're just starting out, it doesn't matter how many years they've had the card. If you're trying to repair your credit, make sure they're about year 5, year 6, year 7 in that their utilization is low. Because if their utilization is high, then that's not going to help you much at all.
It's going to hurt you. It's going to actually hurt you. Because if make sure the person is responsible with their credit, because then their credit movements reflects on you, right? So if they're responsible, it looks like you're responsible. If they're irresponsible, it looks like you're irresponsible. So make sure that person is a responsible credit user, because then it's gonna hurt. If they're terrible at utilizing credit, it's gonna hurt you. And also too, they put you as an authorized user, and they're being responsible. Your credit score goes up. Now your credit score is a point where now you're getting credit card offers and you accept them. Your bad credit utilization is not going to affect that person.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So if you start getting good credit based on your friend or family member who put you as an authorized user, and you start getting credit card offers and utilizing it and abusing it, and you start messing up again, your bad habits is not going to affect them. So that's another good thing about that too. It's not a symbiotic relationship. It's not a you help me, I help you. It's all they help you, right? So make sure the person is responsible, and make sure the credit limit is pretty high, and make sure that they're using a very, way under 30%, way under, and it's going to help your credit score go up as theirs go up. And actually, yours might go up faster than theirs, because they might already have a 700, 750, right? Which is not much more. It ain't a whole lot more to go. And if yours is 550, you have a lot to go. So they might go up 2-3 points, and you might go up 7, 8, 9, 10 points, because you have bigger jumps to get to than them. So you're being both judged independently by the credit bureau. It's based on the credit movement and responsibility. So hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, you can ask a question, or you can give us a buzz. And that goes into the fifth step, which is pay down your credit cards and loans. But you want to start from the smallest loan or credit card to the biggest, right? So let's say you have a $500 credit card, and then you got a $5,000 loan over here. You want to pay that credit card off first, and then go ahead and work on that loan. But you want to go ahead and give them some more details on that one?
I mean, I couldn't have said it any better than that. Like, a lot of us that are ambitious, we're like, no, I want to start off with the highest one first. Trust me, I get it, because
yeah,
like that too. But it gave me zero motivation to start, because when I was ready, I would just be like, and I'm sure you know what that word is. Then it's like, I'm going to get to it. Then you never get to it, because, for lack of better words, it looks so daunting.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
there's so much power in starting off with that small number, because if you have like a $500 credit card and you pay that down to like $450, you will be surprised how fast your score comes up. One thing, Lewis and I, again, we're not going to share stuff that we don't or haven't done. Like, this is stuff that we've done and we still do, and we help people start off with the lowest one first. And I get it. Like, these are some interesting times. If you're in a position where it's like, I am not making, look, I would have paid that $500 down if I had 500. I get it too. You could set up a plan where, and this is like something extra, but one thing that I used to do with saving money, which is kind of old school, but it helped, I would just put like $1 a day in a jar. And I know it seems like $1 a day. What does that do? You'd be surprised how much money I had in that gallon jar towards the end of the year. $1 a day adds up. So even if you have to do something to where you're like, okay, I'm going to pay that $500 down, that $500 card down, but I need to set myself up to where I can even pay a certain amount. Put a small amount aside. If you put $10 aside a week, and then when that month is out, you're like, all right, now it's time to pay 40 down, and you don't touch that card, that's inspiring. So yes, it's slow, but if you're not working with much at the moment, it's best to do something than nothing. It's best to start somewhere than nowhere.
mm-hmm.
So save that week. Once you get towards the end of the month, put 40 down and repeat the process. With the $500 credit card, you should be done paying that card down in, 5-6 months. But there's beauty in that. When you start doing that, it builds confidence. It's kind of hard to describe. Yeah. That going down, you mean to tell me you're just going to be focused on that one card? No, that's going to spawn. You'll be surprised. That'll spawn off into you paying off other cards. If, as a matter of fact, it might even attract more money into your life because you're even more positive than when you were when you saw that card. That $500 limit was at 510.
Right.
510 interest. But you know what I mean.
Right. Well, I think of two analogies when I hear that, pay off the smaller debt first and the larger debt last, largest debt last. When I was in high school, I went to high school and I learned about electricity. I learned electrical installation. Of course, I didn't take it further than that. I should have, because a lot of you can make a lot of money in that career, right? But that joint is dangerous. But when I was learning about electricity and about how it flows, what I learned was electricity flows towards the path of least resistance. So that's why if you have insulation like rubber or something around a copper wire, you can touch it and not get electric and not get shocked because the metal is conducive, but the rubber is not, right? So the path of least resistance is the metal. The rubber is harder for the electricity to penetrate. And so that works in life. So for instance, what's even more conductive that has even less resistance is gold. So gold is the most least resistant, most electrically conductive metal because it has the least path of resistance for electricity. That works in every aspect of life. Like, for instance, if you, most people don't want to do the hardest thing in life or the heaviest thing. They want to pick up the lighter thing. Like, let's say you're helping your friend move. You be like, I ain't picking up the biggest box. You're looking for the small box, the one that's like light, because you're looking for the path of least resistance. That's just how life works, right? Now, sometimes to the benefit, sometimes to the detriment, right? But in this case, it works to the benefit because if you got a $500 credit card, you got a $1,000 credit card, you got a $5,000 credit card, you got a $10,000 credit card, you try to pay them in reverse. What's going to happen is you're going to take a very long time to get that $10,000 knocked down. And so before, like A said, before you even get half of that knocked down, you lose motivation because you see it's only $9,000. I've been paying this thing for so long, it's $9,000 still. Then you still got that 5, that 1,000, and you still got that 500. But if you knock out that 500, it's like, whoo, knock that out quick. Then you do the 1,000, you knock that out it took you double the time. So you're like, oh, that wasn't too bad. And the 2,000, that wasn't too. And you work yourself. Unless all you got is a $10,000 credit limit or credit card or loan to pay off. And you're like, man, I can knock that off because now you've built on motivating yourself, like lifting weights. If you start off lifting heavy weights, day one, you're not going back to the gym no more. I guarantee it. That happens to me and a friend, right? We're going to the gym. I go to the gym every day. Well, not no more, but I'm going to the gym every day at this time, 7 days a week. Right? I will go early in the morning or I would go after school or after work or whatever, every day. And my friend came, he's like, man, you want to go work out with you, Lou? I'm like, all right, let's go. So at this time, I'm picking up heavy weights. So this dude want to pick up what I'm picking up. I said, bro, don't pick that up, bro. Don't pick it up. Trust me. Don't go a little lighter. Nah, I could do it. I'm like, oh, don't do it. Okay. And he did it. Right. He's struggling. I see him like using 100% of his strength. And I'm like, I told you more than once, don't do it. Okay. So about a week later, I already been to the gym 7 days or 7 more times since then. So a week later, he calls me. I've been to the gym 7 times since then. And he go, hey, Lou. Like, what's up, man? He's like, yo, Lou, you still hurting from last week? I'm like, what? No. I've been to the gym many times since then, and I'm fine. He's like, bro, I'm hurting. I'm hurting like it's the first day. Like I'm hurting like I just went to the gym yesterday. And I'm like, bro, you probably tore something. I told you not to do it and you didn't listen. You tore something because you shouldn't be hurting for a whole week like you worked out yesterday. And so that's what happens when you go heavy thinking that you're going to benefit yourself. Sometimes you have to start off light and work your way up to the bigger, heavier tasks, weights, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Especially if you never did it before. Now, if he was a gym rat and he stopped going to the gym for a year, he knows his strength, he knows how much it decreased, and so he could pick up heavy still because he was picking up very heavy before, fine. But he was not a gym dude, so he hurt himself. So similar, if this is your first time attacking your credit and making it better for the first time, start off with the smaller tasks, which will get you motivated and strengthen you mentally to keep going forward. Because it can get very discouraging sometimes. Because this what we're talking about is a level of maturity that most people fail because they don't get direction of how to actually do it the right way. They attack it or in every which way and then fail, right? Get discouraged and then fail and give up, throw their hands up, forget it. But we're here to give you a structure that gets you encouraged and motivated, and you can see that you can actually do it. It's not that difficult. Some of my people were watching, like A said the other day, man, it ain't hard, but yeah, none of these things is very difficult. But if you don't fully know and understand, then it can appear to be difficult, and you could lose motivation very quickly. So, yeah, start off with the smaller ones first. And I just want to give you a couple of analogies so you can get a fuller understanding of how it really is, you know. And I guess that moves us into the sixth step. And of course, there's more steps, right? But these steps will get your credit looking good.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's more things you can do to like maintain it, keep building it. Because sometimes it might plateau like this for a little bit, but you want it to go boop, boop. And it's going to plateau a little bit and go up a little bit more. So, but these are going to get your credit score, you know, in the 600s, 700s, where you're feeling confident, right? You know, you'll be on Credit Karma or one of these apps looking at your credit, and your credit is right out for everybody to see. You be like this with your phone.
Yep.
Hi.
Yep.
It's people see 750 on there because you ain't you like you want to look at my, you want to be nosy. Look here, see 750. You be that comfortable. You won't be trying to hover over your phone because it's like you know 520, right? And not to diss anybody,
right?
You know, but 520 we know is bad. I was there. You know, people look at you. You got to pay way more for everything that you want to use credit for, right? So the sixth step is utilize business credit to power your personal credit. Use business credit to give power to your personal credit. So, hey, break that down.
Yeah, and this is like probably an asterisk step.
It is. It definitely is, because it's going to be a bunch of questions like business credit. What? Because now we got to talk about establishing business credit. And then we got to talk about how you do that, right? But explain to them how the business credit can help their personal credit.
So if one is in a position, and you would think, okay, if they have business credit, then your personal credit should be A1. Not necessarily, but if you are in a position where you have business credit and your personal credit is taking a dip, and you probably haven't thought of this idea yet, if you have a business credit card where you can take money off the card, and if you have that card, then you know how that's possible, then you can use that to like pay down a loan or even pay down a credit card. Because then what you'll notice is, of course, that will shoot your score up. And it's like you had this resource that you didn't know was readily available that you could use to help your personal credit. So you could easily take cash from the card, or I mean, if you've gotten far enough with your business credit, we have a line of credit, which we'll get in another video, and take some money from your line of credit and then pay down the personal card. You know that that's going to be beneficial, because the higher your score is, the better essentially it'll be for your overall credit profile and your business credit. So if you have business credit, or if you, like, let's say you don't have business credit, but there's a reason why we wanted to add this asterisk step, but you know someone that has business credit and you guys have a solid relationship. Now make your word your bond. You know, just tell them, hey, is it possible with, you know, your business card or line of credit. You can let me borrow X amount of dollars so I can pay this off, but have a game plan in your head how you're going to pay them off. So now maybe it was business credit, but you've leveraged, that friend or family member business credit to help you pay down your credit. So there's multiple ways you can go about it, but I wanted to recommend adding that asterisk step because I know like sometimes we're stuck and we don't know. We both know how it feels to be stuck. Like, look what you shared with me before you got into your house. Like, it's not like you're not a person that doesn't have motivation. Obviously, that's not you, but you are in a place where you were just kind of stuck. But once that solution came, literally less than 3 years later, you're speaking to us in the house that you're in right now.
Right. And it would have been sooner if it wasn't for COVID shutting stuff down. And you know what I mean? But I'm going to say this, that could be a symbiotic relationship between you and your friend who has business credit, right? Because he or she helps you with your personal credit, and then while you pay them back, you're helping them increase their business credit, right? So it's like a one hand washing the other, or you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And also too, business credit tends to be a larger limit than personal credit. Right. So you might get a credit. If you're doing very well, with your personal credit score, you might get a credit card for $10,000. But if you go ahead with the same tenacity and the same energy with your business and business credit, you're looking at way more than $10,000 credit limit on the business side. And so that's how you can utilize that money, because then that utilization will remain low because you have a larger amount to utilize, right? So because 10,000 sounds like a lot, but it's not. Think about it. If you have a $10,000 credit card, you need to keep that 30% or less. That's $3,000.
Right.
That can go quick over a Christmas shopping holiday. You know what I mean? I'm gonna buy my family stuff. You can go over 30% really quickly. So you wanna see credit limits of 100,000. You know what I mean? And it's much easier to get 100,000 credit limit without being a multi-millionaire right now by having business credit. Because if you want a $100,000 credit card personal, you got to be a millionaire. You have to be a millionaire. No one's going to give you $100,000 credit limit if you're not, like, you can actually pay that back. That you can actually max that bad boy out and pay it back before the 30 days. They got to trust you. So your income has to be very big. If not a millionaire, close to being a millionaire, right? So the business credit side is what's going to give you the ability to utilize more, and it can actually help you with your personal credit. So I know that's the 6 steps. Again, you have any questions, comments, you can post them. But of course, some things are for privy conversation. So feel free to give us a buzz, and then we can get into detailed steps of how to help you specifically. Because sometimes people don't want to put their personal, personal business out there for the whole entire social media world, YouTube world to see. So we're going to have a number at the bottom, but of course, any generic questions, post them and we're going to give a response. And that's pretty much it for the steps. Follow them. Let us know how it turns out. I'm looking forward to hearing y'all stories. And so good luck. Keep motivated. Don't be discouraged. If you're feeling stuck, we can help you get unstuck. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for listening.
Salute.